closer.
You speak for yourself.
There's got to be a... You coming any closer?
We're getting any closer, mate.
That's all right, don't worry. Now, basically, we're told by government, aren't we, that we don't have a constitution. We're told by government that they want us to have a new Bill of Rights, one which they write. Well, I have a copy of the report on that, and on the front of it, it starts out very well. It says you will keep all of your existing rights and freedoms. But at the back on page 106, paragraph 4, it says that government want to give themselves a legislative override by which we can lose, they can remove all of our rights and freedoms should they pass a bill through Parliament. I wrote to them about that. I got a letter back from a Dr. Egan, who is the secretary to the chairman of the committee, Andrew Dismore, and he said there's an interesting debate going on as to whether by passing a law we could remove the rule of law completely.
Fuck the government.
Right? Now that might suit government, but it doesn't suit us. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a brief thumbnail sketch of the English Constitution, how it developed, and some of the crimes against it. Now, I'm going to start this in 841 with the birth of King Alfred, because he was born in a period where England was under assault from the Vikings, the Danish, and we were regularly being invaded. And one by one, Alfred's father and his brothers all became king and actually carried on the fight. We know that Alfred, when he became king, lost the battle against the Danes, and he had to go and hide in a shepherd's house, where we're told he burnt the cakes and got a rollicking from the shepherd's wife. But eventually Alfred designed a system of defence which we could defend the country. It was the first ever national service really in this country, where half the people would be in fully booted and spurred, ready to go to war. The other half would be out doing their normal jobs. And if a village was attacked, the half who were in armour would hold it until such time as a larger army could be brought in to save it. Around about 886, having secured his kingdom, Alfred went round all of the old kingdoms that made up his kingdom, and he took all of the old laws and the customs and he put them in a book of law he called the Dome, which he then showed to the Witan, which was his parliament. And what they then did was they then agreed that it was good law, and it was promulgated throughout Alfred's kingdom as the King's Law. It was the first ever book of constitutional law in this country, and it laid down all sorts of things about how we should be not only live our lives, but we should be protected by the law. Now,
long story short, mate.
Yeah, okay.
It's pissing down the rain.
Yeah, okay.
And everybody wants to come.
Now, when William of Normandy invaded, killed King Harold, he never accepted that Harold was going to be king of England, so he agreed that he would keep Alfred's law, i.e. the laws of Edward the Confessor, which was Alfred's law, and they now became William's laws. In 1100, King Henry I, he in fact had broken the law and was told by the barons that he actually had to rule according to law, and he issued a Charter of Liberties, which in fact was a repeat of Alfred's law. It was a reissue of Alfred's law. Magna Carta 1215 was a reissue of the Charter of Liberties of Henry I. And so we go on, right the way up until 1689 with the Bill of Rights of 1689, which was a reissue of everything that had gone before Alfred's law. So England, up until 1973, was ruled by the laws that King Alfred gave us. Now, it started to go wrong in 1948 when the Labour government, after the war, repealed the Act of Provisos. This was at the same time as the government of the day was proposing that we should look at the European Union, and one of the major planks of the European policy was that we should get rid of national companies and have super international companies. They repealed the Act of Proviso. In 1967, Harold Wilson repealed the Act of Praemunire, and the Act of Praemunire made it a crime akin to treason to in fact bring any law from outside into England, or to take anybody from England and try them in a foreign court. We now have the European arrest warrant. That was repealed. So government on that day had in fact committed high treason on both of those occasions. Edward Heath, 6 years after the repeal of the Act of Praemunire, signed us up to the European Union, and two things happened. On the day that he did that, we lost our fishing grounds, which were a major asset of this country, and that was a crime against the Act of Proviso, which made it a criminal offence to commit high treason to either sell or gift any asset of this country to a foreign power or a foreign owner. Since then, our industry has been successively bought up and closed down to the detriment of the people of this country and our manufacturing ability. Edward Heath set up a conspiracy designed to subvert the Constitution and hand this country over to a foreign power. He did that knowing full well what the effects would be, because he had been told by the Lord Chancellor, Lord Kilmuir, that it would mean surrendering powers to govern to a foreign power, and that has never been done. Of course it hadn't, because it was illegal. He also was told by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office that if he did what he wanted, then in fact what would happen was that he would in fact be giving England over to a situation where within 3 decades we would lose our last minute ability to withdraw from the European Union, and that in fact means we've lost our sovereignty and we can't get out, and that is high treason. Now, since then, of course, we've been trying to get various people who work with Edward Heath prosecuted for treason. The police, whose job it is to fix this, are actually sitting on their hands. And I reported this to my own police force, Thames Valley, who refused to deal with it. So I then reported to John Yates at Scotland Yard, my police force, named officers up to and including the Chief Constable,
Come on, guys.
compounding treason. John Yates sat on his hands. I then reported it to the Commissioner, Sir Paul Stevenson. He sat on his hands. Now what has happened since then? Well, they told me when I was policing, don't worry Albert, if you don't come today, you'll come tomorrow, and if you don't come tomorrow, you'll come the day after. John Yates and Sir Paul Stevenson have reported to the Metropolitan Police Authority for the criminal offence of misprision of treason. Well, they haven't come for that, have they? But the initial superintendent with Thames Valley Police that I took it to was in fact arrested for arson and insurance fraud, found not guilty in court because his best buddy, the detective superintendent who he goes drinking with, carried out the inquiry and he made a right pig's ear of it. That was said in court. The detective superintendent, however, they can't do anything about, because having carried out the inquiry and made sure that his friend got off, he then retired on his full pension. John Yates stole our air miles, didn't he? They belonged to us. He took them away. Papers said that this was John Yates's boo. Well, it wasn't John Yates's boo. What it was fraudulent misappropriation of air miles, which equalled taxpayers' money. So I reported John Yates for that crime. And I was told by the Metropolitan Police Authority that I was in fact a member of the public.